Welcome to the Southern Fields here in Heidelberg for the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. And the final that we have here today, Japan versus the USA in the mixed division. The field number 11 National Rugby Stadium here in Heidelberg awaits the action, and the fans are gathering for what's already been a very, very hot day. And we'd like to welcome you. My name's Tom Stiles alongside Becky Thompson here for this last game, the mixed division, USA and Japan, and they have some history, having met in that final in Perth just last year.
Yeah, just a year and a half ago, these two teams faced off for that gold medal. The USA came away with that one 15-13, but it was a tight battle all the way, and there are several returners from both teams here on the field today who will be looking for a different outcome.
We always talk about the North American style of ultimate versus the Japanese style of ultimate. That's what we're going to see here today. But just talk us through what the difference is between the way these two teams play the sport.
The American team here, Tom, will be a lot more comfortable going for some of those deep shots. They'll take a few more risky passes, those 50-50 shots, I think favoring some of their athletic matchups here today, whereas this Japanese team, we're going to see those inside backhands, those little flick breaks, working it up the field and only taking that deep shot, leading passes when it's 100% on.
The tension rises. We've already seen two finals here in Heidelberg today, the women's final and the men's final, both going the way of the USA. Tightly fought matchup against Japan in the women's, but the Japanese couldn't quite catch up the deficit that they'd lost in the first half. And the Canadians fighting hard in the men's final, but the USA just too good, winning that one 15-12.
Yeah, we've seen the American teams come out with a lot of fire and passion for these games. You wonder how bad these players want it when they see the American teams competing time after time for these medals, and it means so much to them. You can see the intensity that they've brought on display, bringing out all the stops in order to go for the gold medal here.
And ones to watch for Japan. Keep an eye out for the two captains, Ishirisa and Yasuki Maze, and also the 55 shirt of Oirisa. She has been totting up her tally throughout the week and currently has 18 goals and 7 assists. She's wearing 55 on her back, and she's been pretty devastating for this Japanese team. Also, Nakamoto Ko in the 10 shirt, the defensive line captain. He'll be a force to be reckoned with. Also a DJ in his spare time.
It's going to be a very exciting matchup, Tom. We talk about stats, and both of these teams have at least 8+ players with 12+ stats, I believe it is, on this field today as well. So even with those stat leaders, they're a very well-rounded team. There's not a single person on their roster without a stat to their name after this week-long tournament as well. So it should be a well-rounded match.
Deep lines on both sides of the field. The Japanese are playing in blue, USA in white. And disc moving here in Heidelberg. Ohashi. Bit of pressure on the back of the 87 shirt of Miguchi, one of the main handlers on this O-line. He can find a disc where you wouldn't think there's space. Deep shot goes up. Pressure from the USA. No call from the plate, and a turnover to the USA straight away.
And it's interesting to see Japan force already into a situation they weren't comfortable with. That late stall count throw had to go up. It was the only option on the play there.
Marase the target. And a deep shot, expanding the field, gets it across to Ing. And this time, the Joe front, reading and boxing out the Japanese defender, who congratulates the big 43 shirt on a great high take for this opening break of the game to the USA.
From there, a returner to this mixed team after his performance in 2018 as well, just got body position, and that's what the USA do so well. You give them the disc back into their hands, they're going to work it up the pitch until that opportunity is open for the strike, and with the likes of Front in that space, I'm not going to be surprised if we see them continue to look for him in this game.
Yeah, he built like a tank, Joe Front. You see the mistake in the end zone. It's clever work, working out where he wanted to go up on the disc, despite the defensive pressure from Masai Yasuki, could not get to the disc front with the score.
Masai Yasuki did really well to catch up to front there as well, Tom. He had lost quite a bit of spacing, and with the disc hanging in the air, he gained quite a bit of distance as well there. Unfortunately, like you said, it wasn't enough, but I think we'll see the Japanese team tighten on some of those deep shots and really try to force the unders here for the USA as well.
Yasuki out of Nagano, 22-year-old. Japan. You can see the wind picking up one of the tents behind the field, and it rolls over onto some of the players, but on field the disc has gone to the USA. Hopefully that can get pinned down. The wind starting to rise and causing havoc on the disc. High disc floats over, and the Japanese have been giving it back, causing havoc on and off the field.
We saw this a little bit yesterday in the semi-final for the USA, Tom. They struggled with some of their execution in the wind against Singapore. They were able to fight to get the disc back, but maybe not the most comfortable in the wind, and Japan have a chance really to take advantage of that.
Well, Japan given an opportunity to score their second offensive point. Spreading the play out to this side, Otake. Finds the disc down the field. Big stretching force from Michael Ng, really hampering Noguchi's throws. Deep shot across the field, classic Japanese offense. The flick across the field, and Oe Risa adds to her stat tally for the week with a goal for Japan. Sprinting free, really intelligent cutting, leaves the American player for dead.
And had to be Oe Risa with the first point of the day here for the Japanese, Tom. She's been so deadly in that space. You see a perfectly placed crossfield flick, and to be able to track with that deep strike to back up your teammate, and then the easy dish into the end zone. Japan coming out with a nice offensive point. They had to get the disc back, but they made no mistakes on the second effort.
We saw Alyssa Su there. Risa, so smart, waited until Su had just turned her back, and the moment she was out of sight, sprinted and changed direction in the opposite way. Standout performer this week, 19 goals and 7 assists. Leads the team in points, and it's the second under-24 appearance for Japan. One to watch for this game. So one apiece, but that break to the USA. USA won the toss. They chose to go out on defense and let the Japanese receive. Strong, confident start to the game from them.
Yeah, I think knowing that when you get that chance to have the very first break of the game, that can set you up with all kinds of momentum going forward as well.
So the Japanese D-line come out, a little bobble off the hands, stays with Ashley Powell. Low disc collected by Ann Worth, one of the stat leaders for the USA. She won't want to be receiving discs like that, and this wind will create variability for both teams. The USA struggling already.
I really like this zone look here from the Japanese as well. They've got one of their female players on the mark, and then two of their bigger, tall men in that cup, really stopping those over-the-top throws. We know the USA are comfortable with going over the top of the cup, but the height, a little bit of an imposition here.
Yeah, the physical differences between the Japanese and North American teams, very obvious from just looking down at the field. Japanese shorter, quicker over short distances, but maybe not over the longer distances. But somehow that manages to stay in American hands as it bobbles off the top of the pile. The USA still have it. Liam Searles-Bowes spins the disc back to Matthew Guchu-Hannes. Joe White. Guchu-Hannes available. this year's Callahan Award winner. McKenna with the reset. Back to Powell, back to McKenna. Finds the gap through to White. Flips into the end zone. The high disc from White to an exposed receiver at the back. And the USA score their offensive point.
And that's the stats leader for the USA, getting the assist there to keep themselves ahead. He's got 26 points this week so far, 19 assists, 7 goals. Definitely likes to be on the throwing end of the disc. And a little bit of luck there, I think, for the American team to get that disc back, but also good heads-up play from Liam Sirlis-Bowes. Gets the disc into his hands, and then they're able to just march it up the field. I think once they're into that final third, the zone not really causing them much trouble at all.
You can see the team's clothing and hair rustled by the wind. Nice to see Masai Yasuke apologizing to Anworth the moment they got up off the floor. Both made a bid at that disc. Somehow came off both of them and landed in an American hand. And we see the 91 shirt of Joe White. His 20 assists now this week. And he also threw the game-winning assist against Canada on double game point. So big contribution from the tall American this week. The great pull, deep, and USA running down there to try and stop that first pass. Japanese stack always so close to the disc. Their positioning, they look for those little break side cuts. They'll throw over the shoulder of the mark if they can. Moving the stack now forward. Happy to take the passes required. Oe reset. And I'm not sure who that was thrown to. The reset was on the other side of the field if they needed it, but USA capitalizing on a Japanese throwing error. Oh, and this time the disc bobbles off the hands of Stanley Birdsong, gifting the disc back to Japan. You have to get their stack lined up. You see Ohashi at the front of the line. Oe Risa tries to read it, but the disc blowing over the top of the stand on this side of the field where the camera is, Becky, and swirling, causing that disc to die.
Yeah, a little bit of the wind taking an effect there. A couple execution errors from both teams now on this point, Tom. I think they'll both want to refocus a little bit and take care of the disc.
USA back to Villanueva. Deep shot downfield. There's a Japanese player, but Birdsong has read it perfectly. Maguchi couldn't make a bid. Birdsong pauses, quick flick, and then continues his run into the end zone, exchanging discs with Steve Benelo for the point to the USA.
And that entire sequence there was created by that big huck from Anna Thompson there as well, just unleashing a flick huck downfield. Maybe a little bit of the wind carrying it, but Birdsong did a great job to read it well, and that's the kind of expansive play that we've been accustomed to seeing from this USA team as well, Tom.
Yeah, Thompson already has 8 assists this week, showing the power in the throwing arm. Great technique to watch as well. Just drops that foot outside to give herself a strong stance. Uses the core strength, flicks the wrist.
You can see the defender there, a little bit frustrated not to come away with that. Maguchi, little punch on the ground. He was so close. Those little give-go passes are exactly how the Japanese like to play near the end zone as well, so they know how to guard that space. Unfortunately, Birdsong getting the better of him on that one. And I think we've just seen Japan take a timeout here as well, Tom, trying to regroup. They've just gone down 2 points in this game. Still very early on, but I think it's a good moment to take that deep breath. You're in a championship game, shake off the nerves, and get back on the field.
Yeah, gold medal in the World Flying Disc Federation World Under-24 Ultimate Champions is up for grabs. And the Japanese already trailing by 2 breaks. Not the start they would have wanted to make. And even when they did score, 9 passes it took them. The USA really patient on their offensive hold, though. 22 passes completed. Our statistician David Oxendale keeping us in check with all the numbers that we need. See McKenna on the sideline. Lindsay McKenna in the 5 shirt. Tall, fast, powerful.
McKenna's been a joy to watch throughout this week as well, Tom. We've seen her do it on all sides of the disc. If you shut her down on that outcut, she'll come right under and throw the big huck. Haven't seen too much of her in this game just yet, but this USA team so deep as well, rolling through their lines to start this game. I don't think they'll need to tighten them up until later in the second half.
Yeah, using the full line. And McKenna's family have come to Germany as well. A lot of the USA families are in tow this week in Heidelberg, enjoying the medieval sights, the city nested on the banks of the Neckar. Japan moving the disc along the far sideline. Maguchi's available for the reset, goes up the line, then comes back. Fast sidearm, floats free for him to collect, brings it across to Ohashi. Intelligent cutting, losing the attentions of Alyssa Su. Kondo dumps back. It's a travel call, pick call.
You can see the Japanese really trying to work it through those tight spaces. Sometimes when the marks drop off, that causes picks on that reset defender.
Kondo eventually finds an outlet to Okubo. And forward to Mazuri. Again, throwing into some tight windows. Big Americans bidding on every disc. To that back corner. Oirisa had cut back there, but goes to ground ahead of her.
Unfortunately, Japan just not leaving a lot of room for error on that far sideline. A little bit of a high release throw as well, and it just pushed it into the ground. No room to make a play.
Getting it back though. Both teams going to be on that far side a lot. The wind blowing that way, and they're being forced that way as well. It means the break shot is into the wind. Such a low release there. Impressive work to Muraze. Okubo. Pop forward, a fast cut. And then another low release floating. It's going to require a big jump over the top of our cameraman on the sideline, but could not get the grab. If he takes off from inbounds, grabs the disc and throws it back, and it's caught by one of the other team, he can land where he likes, but didn't get off the ground early enough, didn't grab the disc either. Turnover USA, and a deep shot straight away, which is going to be better read by Muraze Akiri. And Maguchi has it again. Big bid coming in. 08. Back to Maguchi. Oe's available again. She just seems to ghost free of her defender. Such a slight player, but changes directions so quickly. Kondo has it now. To Ohashi. Ohashi blasts the disc up into the chest of the receiver. Maguchi keeps it flowing to this near side, and Harada Risa scores the point. The 22-year-old from Tokyo, with in her fourth year of Ultimate, scoring the point for the Japanese mixed team.
Japan had to work hard for this one, capitalizing on a few errors from the US team as well, and eventually able to work it up the field. Really impressed with the work of Kondo on this point as well, Tom, going up that sideline and able to get the resets off for the Japanese team. Eventually they transitioned all the way across the field using the full width of the pitch to get the swing pass into the end zone. That's such a hard play for the American team to mark.
And once that first break pass has gone, the Japanese movement is so quick and so precise, they really can keep the flow going. 30 degrees here in Heidelberg as the temperatures soar. A little bit of cloud cover. We're not expecting any rain today on this field 11 here at the National Rugby Centre in Heidelberg. A big rugby town, who knew? And the wind that you can see on the flags at the far side of the field is blowing from the camera side. So it's blowing over the top of the camera, swirling over the stand, and that will be causing a few fluctuations in the height of the disc as the teams throw it. Darting run forward. Rippey gets it out to the sideline. Clear Plaklemba. Wilson forward, gets it back to Gucho Hannes. Wilson again. High disc, jumping, just landing inside the side of the field. Mary Rippey. Big bid coming in, didn't quite take off in time. He's got a bit of ground to make up as Olsen sprints clear, but a block for Japan. They get the disc. They've worked really hard to prevent flow from the USA there. Lots of passes made, and eventually they come up with a block. Massey down the far sideline. Resetting back to Namakure. Umimura. She sends it back.
Yeah, just a travel called on the play here, Tom. The Japanese team are really excited to work this disc up the field right now, maybe just moving a little too quickly there.
Oh, second time of asking, catches the disc. The question's being asked by Gucho Hannes. Were your knees down as you caught that the second time?
It seemed like the first time definitely had the feet in bounds, but there was a bobble. Does depend when they gain control.
The bobble, she planted out of bounds, so by the time she had possession of the disc, one of her feet was established out of bounds.
Can I offer a perspective as the captain and standing over here? I thought you bobbled it, and as you possessed the disc, your foot was on this line as you were sliding. And I think you had one foot in, but the other foot was on the line.
Could we have your perspective,
You
please?
did, yes. So you bobbled the disc. At first you were in, then you bobbled, and when you had control, you were on the line. So you were on the line when you had control. That was my perspective.
She's saying her right foot was always on the side.
So it was, but when she had control, from my perspective, you were out. So if she's not going to, if we're not retracting it, we have to play it as a contested out
So
call.
can I ask a clarifying question? With the foot on the line is out of bounds, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is that
So we either need to keep it a contested out call or retract. So we'll just send it back. So are you contested out? Out, contest.
So the players down on the field having quite a long conversation. Game advisor Jana Haneke.
And I'm not sure about that outcome, although you got to respect the players sticking to their calls. They're within their right to make these decisions.
And the disc comes across the field and eventually is collected. The outstretched hands of Otake keeping the disc alive for Japan. Namakura shoots through that inside channel. Massey, and a timeout called just to get a breath back. See if we can have another look at that disc on the far sideline. But Japanese steadying the ship a little bit, getting some blocks from the USA. Let's have a look at it again. It bobbles, and as she had control, very difficult to see when she actually had control from that angle.
For me, Tom, I think her foot was definitely on the line by the time she gained full control of the disc. It was very close, unfortunate bobble, but her foot was on the line, and unfortunately it is out of bounds.
It's very difficult for the players down there on the field without the benefit of our replays to make that call completely objectively. The game advisors are there to offer their perspective. Jana Haneke not making a call. She was asked to clarify a rule by Gucho Hannes.
I do wonder as well, Tom, I think that was a rule that Gucho Hannes knew the answer to as well. I think he was trying to have the Japanese player think about the call.
He absolutely knew the answer to the question. Massey. Joe White just making a bit of contact, but the disc has gone across the far side of the field. Clear. Plakemba gets up first and stops that really impressive sprint, taking the disc down.
I think Plakemba will be very happy with that one. It was the only option that the Japanese had left, and she tracked it down the whole way.
The US facing the Japanese zone, making lots of short passes. Into the middle now with Wilson, and across the field, Rippey. Transition to a one-on-one now. It's always hard in a mixed to make sure when you transition out of zone into one-on-one that you get the gender matchups right as well. 2 17 shirts marking each other. Oh, Plakemba, having done all the hard work on defense, has the easiest catch to make, but the two fingers come down with no disc between them, and now a deep shot's gone up. Japan are going to read it. Second time of asking. They come down with it, and that is a break to Japan. 3 each here, and the tightest game. The wind affecting both teams, but the Japanese getting it back.
An unfortunate drop for Plakemba there. You could see a slight shoulder check to maybe think about where the next pass was, but full credit to Japan, that transition to their offense and the second effort there. They were so quick off to the races the other direction. They don't want to allow this American team to set up any kind of defense, knowing that the American team is really trying to stop those inside shots. But before they're able to set up this one, the inside flick cut comes off.
Anders Olsen looked like he'd got great position on there. An intelligent run from the Japanese receiver, takes it out at the second time of asking. I don't think the USA will be too worried about that. Japan capitalizing on an error with a fairly 50-50 hook to the end zone.
Yeah, I think those are the kinds of shots that typically the US is going to favor themselves in as well. They have had the height matchups throughout most of this game already. That one was able to get the second effort on it, so I think they'll look back at it and say, we were right there, we got a touch on the play, and we'll challenge for the next ones as well.
Searles Bowes combining with Powell. Powell looking for a way out. McKenna's available. This Japanese zone sometimes can be deceiving in where the spaces are as they flow down the field. It's difficult. They were leaving Worth available despite other players on the field being one-on-one marked really closely. Now switching up the plate and cutting on the far side of the field. Rocco Essex-Lenahan scores for the USA. Made it look quite easy cutting through that Japanese zone, no problem.
Such a calm presence there from Ashley Powell as well. Look to the first option, look to the second option, look to the reset. All of them shut down by the Japanese team, but no panicking on the disc. Waited for that fifth option to come about and able to get it into the end zone. A nice shot to the far side.
Yeah, Powell from Raleigh, North Carolina. Played for the North Carolina State University and the Raleigh Phoenix. She's currently coaching an under-17 girls team at YCC as well. Oh, you can see the the Rocco Essex-Lenahan fan club on the sideline there with Rocco written across their chests. You need a longer name to prove you've got a big fan club, but Rocco's brought 5. Any advance on 5?
I mean, we've seen so many American fans here throughout the course of the week, Tom. Some of these finals have felt a little bit like a home crowd effect here in Germany as well. So sure we can find a fan club with a few more people in it.
It's quite an unusual thing at a World Championship final. So often the USA, the favourites, and the crowd love an underdog. But here, with so many fans travelling with the US contingent, it has felt very much more even. Japanese with penetrating discs. Really smart handler mark, just cutting off that disc from Kowalczyk. Keeping it alive though, Otake. Resets across the field. Ohashi into the hands of Meguchi. Into the front of the end zone, and grabbing is Sato Hikari for Japan.
That is the third time that the Japanese have been able to make a second attempt catch off a throw. They've bobbled it a couple times, but such heads-up plays, always turning to find the disc right away. They're always looking for where it is, and it's working out in their favor here. The team that is going to fight for every disc, who wants it more, is going to come away with this win, Tom, and I'm very impressed with the Japanese ability to track down those second efforts.
Yeah, they've fought hard, and the throwing position that Meguchi gets himself into as he hits that open side shot, but it had to be fast, it had to be released lower under the defender's hands. The Japanese fans enjoying this action out here. Always such an effervescent part of the ultimate community with their cheers and their chants. And they always go and bow to their fans at the end of every game. In fact, they bowed to us halfway through this week. Myself and Becky Thompson walking across the field after a Japanese women's game. They said, "Oh, this is a commentator," and they all turned around to both of us and bowed and said arigato. So it was very nice. USA going to ground, keeping the disc alive. Mary Rippey having to work so hard. The zone violation here.
Probably a marking infraction is the most likely call here, Tom. Either a fast count or came in too close contact on the mark and didn't reduce his stall count.
He's going to come back in on one. Resets to Plaklemba. She continues her cut. Tricky disc to catch, but gets it across to Rippey. Plaklemba continues the cut. She's going every other at the moment. Jo White down the line and jumped in by Megan Wilson on that far corner. Flowing through the Japanese defense. A very impressive point by the O-line for the USA.
Looked like there may have been a miscommunication on defense from the Japanese there as well. They've been trying to run switch defense, especially on those upline cuts from the Americans. Usually somebody dropping off the mark to take the person streaking up line, but in this situation, able to find herself open in the end zone, Megan Wilson took full advantage of the space she was given.
You see Rippey to Plaklemba. Jo White, yeah, completely free. You can't leave Megan Wilson with that much space. And Jo White with a disc in his hand nearby. Not going to end well. USA O-line have been turned over twice. The Japanese O-line have been turned over 6 times already. So even though the score, there's only one difference, you would say that the USA playing better. Just that one break the difference at the moment though.
Yeah, and I think this Japanese team have slowly started to clean things up a little bit at the start. We talk about this being a world championship final. There are definitely nerves on the line, and I think for some of those players returning to this Japanese team after losing the final in 2018 as well, they really want this game, maybe putting a little bit too much pressure on themselves at the very start here, but it does look like they've started to relax a little bit.
And all the captains are players returning from Perth, but there's a lot of new talent in these sides as well. Ohashi for Japan. On the pass is errant, goes too far ahead of Sato, signaling the offensive positioning she wants. Anna Thompson sends it back to Gramman. Anna Thompson again, floating behind the receiver. Smart work. Gramman and her exchanging discs. And then it comes to Ing. Ing flicks back to Gramman again. Thompson continues. heroic bid to keep it alive for the USA. No hesitation in her jump. Front. Through the middle, but the Japanese defender lays out for the block.
That is the second time that the US has tried to go for that inside flick to the end zone, and the Japanese players have been able to get a full extension layout D. Those are the kinds of shots they will bait all day long.
Looking for the deep shot down the line. A big bid comes in. Continues the cut. Runs available. And a contact made, or as a travel call, right back on the field. This is the sort of thing that the crowds in the stands tend to boo, and they are doing exactly that.
I think the crowd was just so pumped up by that deep shot. This is what Japan does well. They don't try to shoot for the end zone, they shoot for the player, and they put it into space, leading throws, usually a little bit lower, a lot of zip on it, and it was perfectly executed on that one. The crowd was loving it, Tom.
Noguchi cutting down the line, can't be found, finds a low disc through, but just as determined. The USA get the block. 2 horizontal layout blocks in this point. Both teams throwing themselves around to keep it coming their way. Big fake from Webb. Then finds Joe Frond. Gramman. Freund again. Gramman prevented from making that return pass to Freund because of the defensive positioning, but in the front of the end zone, gets it right the second time. The Japanese defender had tried to cover the up the line shot. It was a good job he did, because it would have gone anyway, but the two players combining. The rest of the field staying well out of the way, just leaving it to the handlers on this occasion.
That's one thing I've been really impressed with here today, Tom, that end zone set from the American team is so disciplined, keeping their spacing and allowing players to make those moves. You get a shot there of the layout D previously in the point, but Brett Gramman just taking control here for the USA. He's been playing for 12 years at several world championships already, got a gold medal with this mixed team in 2018 and searching for another one here today.
Strong performance from him. Saw another replay of that Anna Thompson layout as well. I do love good layout technique, and Thompson's technique was pretty much spot on there. Always better to go up early with good technique than do a last-ditch grab with bad technique. There's a high likelihood you'll injure yourself if you get it wrong. It's been to the Jesse Schaffner school of laying out, I think. Big put downfield, collected in the end zone. Okubo moving it to Noguchi. Oe. Lightning fast movement, finds Noguchi up the line, a big bid comes in, can't quite reach it. Michael Ng throwing himself up the line. I'm enjoying the performance of Oe here. Becky, the 55 shirt, just seems to dance across the turf, so light-footed, a change of direction, and when she has the disc in the hands, can really move it quickly.
And incredibly hard as a defender to mark a player like Oe.
Okubo. Got a reset available, still looking the other way. Noguchi has it now. Noguchi into the end zone. Completed passes all the way up the field from Japan. Matsushima is the scorer in the end. But Noguchi doing a lot of work with the disc up that far sideline. USA forcing the Japanese downwind, forcing them towards that far stand and making it difficult to reset. Yeah. Japanese patience pays off.
Going to say the exact same thing there, Tom. It was their patience in that red zone that allowed them to work the disc in. They were cutting one at a time off the stack, not clogging that space, and Matsushima did so well to beat her defender to the near cone. She used to run in track and field prior to coming to Ultimate as well, so using a little bit of her speed to get to the disc.
And out in Cincinnati last year, part of the Uno team. '23-year-old from Shiga. And the pull from Japan has been caught by the wind and blown out of bounds. The USA will be able to bring that up to the brick mark.
And that wind is really pushing the disc to the far side of the field. That's what we call the low side of the field here. The disc is going to be carried out that sideline. Teams are going to want to stay more towards this high side, the near sideline, to keep the disc in play.
Clea Plakemba involved again. Apart from that one handling error, had a very active game. Japanese zone on display again. Powell now. Ashley Powell. Back to Liam Searles Bowes. And Worth. Moving it between the handlers. Plakemba can't quite collect. USA going through the margins, trying to find the gaps in that Japanese zone. They look a little bit at odds here as the Japanese turn them over. Chance to break back.
Just a pick called in the stack. A little bit of congestion there. Players resetting, and like you said, Tom, Japan have an opportunity here. Looks like
deep shot goes down across the field. Big bid comes in, but Ozaki Yuta grabs. What a flying bid from the USA.
Matt Guchohannes did everything he could to get to that disc, but it was so perfectly placed into the hands of the receiver. Japan tying this game back up at 6s, and so far, Tom, this is everything we could have wanted from a World Championship final.
I've just spied the long lens of Nathan Kolakovic hanging out in the end zone, and I reckon that bid from Guchohannes is right into the face of his lens. I'm looking forward to seeing the replay on the social media tonight. What a bid. Herculean effort, but not enough at all.
It's unfortunate to see moving upfield the USA prior in that point. They just tried to move it too quickly through the zone. Lindsay McKenna went for a zippy lefty backhand through the wall there, and I think that's exactly what Japan wants to try to make the US do. They want them to throw through those gaps in the wall and have those opportunities for miscued throws.
So timeout here and a chance to catch our breath. Japan recovering one of the breaks that they need. They're still trailing by one break to the USA. The USA won the toss and put Japan out on offense, took the disc off them and scored an opening point break. There's been 2 breaks each since then, but the USA will start the second half with the disc in the hand, so Japan really need to punch one of these last 4 points in.
Yeah, I think it would set them up really well going into the second half, not just from a score standpoint, but also getting more momentum back into their hands here as well. They want to take control of this game. The USA have been so used to being in the driver's seat for the most part of this tournament, apart from one close matchup against the Canadians, who were leading in that game as well. So I think the Japanese will know if they can take control of this, get the momentum on their side, they're going to start to apply a lot of pressure to this American team.
Should also mention elsewhere in this mixed division, it has been it's been the most exciting division. I think really exciting play and some unexpected teams. Singapore and Latvia, the 2 teams that faced off last night for the bronze medal. Latvia having knocked out the Canadians 15-6 in the quarterfinal. So strong performance from the Eastern European powerhouse.
Yeah, Latvia taking down Canada in power pools, and Singapore actually taking out Canada in the quarterfinals.
My apologies.
Both of those teams fitting that they would play in the bronze medal game after taking out the reigning bronze medalists.
Rippey disc back into the hands of Wilson, then up the line to Worth. They're just running it through the women at the moment, the USA. Forward to Worth, one of the stats leaders for the USA. Again exchanging discs with Gucho Hannes, who's back on the field. Gucho Hannes and White combine. Joe White waves a big fake into the end zone. Japanese come away to take the second option out. Forward to the front of the stack, and Wilson curling the run as she comes low, and it's a poor disc from Wilson, but it is collected and into the end zone to Rippey.
That is such great movement here from the USA as well, taking their time in the handling space, working it around, and then as soon as they get it centered back to the middle, that first cut and the only cut is coming off the back of the stack there from Rippey. No one else in the stack is moving as she just bided her time and then was able to sneak over to this near cone.
You can see the defender, Shina Omiya, thought that the play was going to go on the other side. She thought she was on the right side of Mary Rippey, but as the USA moved it so quickly back onto the near side of the field, closest to our cameras, found herself completely out of position.
And I think the USA have been very good at recognizing when the Japanese players have been more focused on the disc on defense. They're sneaking away from them and taking advantage of the space being given to them. Japan often likes to keep their eye on the disc. I think biding that opportunity to get those inside layout Ds, to get that run through opportunity, but occasionally it's allowing the US players to just sneak away from them here.
So the USA pulling, they're going to come out on D. If they can turn and burn the Japanese side here, they will take the first half, and that's a brilliant pull right to the back of the end zone. The Japanese line just a little bit too far away, gets it to Kondo. She looks upfield and finds one of her players on the floor. Massey rolling away. Contact made, no contest. Stall will revert to 1.
You can see the trees in the background moving in the wind there. That'll certainly have an effect on the pressure being put here on Japan, being stuck in their own end zone right now as well.
It's not sort of game-ruining wind, is it? But it's definitely going to create some variability.
It's the kind of wind, it's enough that you have to think about everything you do and make sure every throw is very purposeful.
Marase, she puts the disc down the line. Back across to Ohashi. Front of the stack. Trying to take the disc out in front, and I think there's going to be a call here. No call at all. It's been grabbed by Bladen. Looks across the field. Oh, unbelievable. It's gone one way. The Japanese have got a block. It's been caught by an American, tossed into the end zone for the easiest point of the game, and then dropped. Can you believe that, Becky?
The USA will want that disc back in their hands, Tom. Julia Kwasnick, such a heads-up play to reel that disc in off the layout D and the easy dish into the end zone. I'm not sure you've ever seen a scoring opportunity so easy, just dropped 2 yards away from each other.
Statistician David Oxendale just hammering the turnover button there for 3 turnovers in as many seconds. Can you believe it? And the Japanese come away with the disc. Let's have a look at this again. So came up, there's the block, there's the catch, there's the drop. And it was only 2 seconds before that the USA had grabbed it from the end zone line off the first pass. Real big pressure, but if you can't, they'll be disappointed with themselves not able to convert. Essentially, they had 2 possessions in that one replay, and both of them were blocked or dropped. Wow.
Not the outcome you want from that defensive pressure, like you said, Tom. They're firing up the intensity here against this Japanese team, but Japan, a lot of luck on their side on this point right now.
Again, trying to jab it in. The way the Japanese set their line so close to the disc, it usually creates space on either side, but the Americans are occupying so much of that gap. They're just poaching off a little bit, and it's means, and another layout block. This time it's Maguchi. The Japanese want this point. They want this game. And the USA been a little bit casual with their throws. They're not looking for these big running defense blocks coming in from behind the disc. Wow, Ohashi has it again, this time down the line. And finds Mikami. Looks upfield and sees Oe cutting, but sends it back to Ohashi. Ohashi looks deep. Reset to Maze, one of the captains. Maguchi threatening the deep space. Brings it back to Ohashi. Just the men running it at the moment. This cut underneath is eventually found. Sends it across the other side. Oe reads it. She can't quite get there. The disc from Kondo. A little bit too hot, a little bit too fiery. 22-year-old overcooking that. Another one of the Uno players.
Yeah, looking for that club connection there, and Oe was streaking so open to the end zone. You can understand why that shot came up, and the USA, I think the right call, taking a timeout now.
And while the teams take a break, we will as well. Back in a moment with more from the World Under-24 Championships mixed final.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
The cheer on the sideline from the Japanese players as the USA are in their own end zone, trying to find a way out. Cross-field pass to Ing. Another big bid comes in from a blue shirt. Advances the disc upfield to Kwasnik. USA, Kwasnik's disc is high, but not mighty. It's too short for Webb, and the Japanese defender gets there first.
Yeah, the defender there from Japan did so well to avoid any contact with the likes of Webb as well. Both of them going into the same space, but keeping his body out of it.
And a return pass. Very similar disc. Too much edge. Not enough space for the defender. Webb with another chance for the USA. This started off as a Japanese offensive point, but I've kind of lost track. Been so many turnovers. Oh, and there's another one. This time it's Massey. Comes out of nowhere. Just slaps the disc to the ground. We've already had a timeout.
That is the third time the USA have tried that same inside shot on the same sideline, and the third time that the Japanese have just picked it off right away.
That clever button cut from Ohashi goes to the break side and turns the full body around. It's not like a jab step, it's what they call a button cut. And this time a break side shot, positioning underneath the disc. It's run down, contact made on the hip. No bid from either player. Mikami frustrated as the disc rises above him in the wind. If he'd just run to where it finished, he would have got the score there, but the presence of the defender pulling him underneath.
Absolutely, Joe Freund there had to go in and make a play on defense. You've got to go for that disc, and it just sucked in Mikami as well.
Thompson exchanges a couple of passes with Ing. Ing looks to Webb on the sideline. Webb looks deep, nothing on, dumps it back. Expansive, but it's going to go way high. Didn't even get off the ground. There was no point. That disc has basically been thrown into the stands by Michael Ing.
That is the side of the field that the wind is pushing towards as well here, Tom. If you're going to make that crossfield shot, it has got to be low and a little bit more float and love put on the disc as well. That one just zipped away from Freund.
5 turnovers each in this point. Key moments in this closing stages of the first half. Just past the halfway point in terms of time. Massey. Low release. Big bid comes through, running through. Just takes the disc away. Graman with the grab. And another disc that's gone errantly flying wide. Graman to Thompson. Thompson gives too much of the underside of the disc to the wind and it blows out of bounds. Becky Thompson seems, you're quite frustrated with this sort of play.
You can see the shots that both these teams are trying to make. You can understand why they're making those decisions to open cuts, but the execution has just fallen apart a little bit on this point, Tom, and it's now starting to feel like it could be one of the most important momentum shifting points of the game.
The USA transitioning to a very poachy look here on defense, trying to stop the short passes. The big wide arms of Luke Webb preventing the initiation. Maraze brings it back across to Massey. Everyone on the field looks exhausted. Maraze again. Massey again, and now forward to Kondo. Every time the disc lands in a new player's hand, they look towards that end zone. Owe's gone this time. Can they get the disc down to a big bid comes in? And a player hurt on the field. It's going to stop because there's a player hurt on the field.
It's not a good sign at all here for the USA. Anna Thompson hitting the ground hard after that layout D attempt, and no contact made with the player, all the contact just with the ground, and so those are the ones you worry about a lot as well here, Tom. Sounds like she may have been a little winded on this point. They've asked for an inhaler as well, so maybe some asthma taking effect. We'll hope that Anna Thompson is all right, one of the captains of this team, and she's had a pretty outstanding game so far. Just the one miscued flick to the end zone on this point.
So disc staying with Japan. That stoppage, nothing to do with play. On the far side of the field, this epic point. 55 passes between the two teams already. Maguchi cuts up the line. Looks to the deep space. They're signaling for the sidearm across the full width of the field, but Maguchi has it again. What can he find in the toolbox? Looks for the reset. Finds it just. Massey must find a way into the end zone. Oh, a little cheeky float, face marking from the USA is exploited, and eventually it's Owe who relieves the pressure. And after 12 minutes, 6 turnovers aside and a timeout, it's leveled up at 7 apiece. Wow, my goodness me, Becky, that is a very exciting moment in this game. Big point for Japan.
It's hard to believe that that was just a hold here for the Japanese as well. After so many turnovers, so many opportunities for both teams to score, it feels almost like the Japanese stole that point away from the USA, as they could have just walked it into the end zone maybe 10 minutes ago in that point, and then eventually able to work it back. But the effort on the field, the hard work from these players, Tom, they looked absolutely exhausted after that point.
You can see the highlight reel just from this 1 point alone of all the turnovers, layouts, but eventually, who is it? Who else? Oe Risa, her second point of the game. And you can hear the crowd, the Nippon cha-cha-cha, Nippon cha-cha-cha.
It does really feel like that kind of point can shift the momentum and the energy in this game. The crowd really starting to heat up for this Japanese team. They love what they're seeing right now, Tom.
Japanese pulling to the USA. Gucho Hannes, a little pop back. Both teams are playing a zone in this wind. Risa's 20th goal of the tournament, that last point. What a key one it was as well. Oh, it's a nice low release from Rippey, and Joe White claiming a strip here. Otake.
Looks like it'll be uncontested by the Japanese player after the two players. Oh, maybe just thinking about it here. There was an initial handshake.
Just needs a translation service from Ozaki to help understand.
The disc was between my two hands when you touched it, and you also gave me a bunch of fire.
You can hear Joe White. It's very difficult to see from that angle. Very much looked from the way the players finished is that Otake had got there first. But it's agreed it was a foul, no contest.
It looked to me, Tom, like Joe White came in from the side where the Japanese player Otake came in straight as well, so I think he had the body position on that play.
It's not the way it's finished on the disc. McKenna underneath this one, but a grab. Otake, the player involved again, goes down there, and if I can't get a block upfield against Joe White, I'll take it out of there ahead of Lindsay McKenna in the end zone. The Japanese with a chance to break for the half here. Exciting moments in this mixed final. A travel called on the opening pass.
The American players focusing on that foot drag. The Japanese all step out so far on their throws, it is easy for the drag to happen.
Joe White quick to his feet after laying out to try and stop that first pass. Wide arms of the big, tall American player. Make quite an imposing defensive wall, and a deep shot goes down the field. There's going to be a big bit of pressure from Puklemba, but it's read in by Ishirisa, one of the captains for Japan. They have taken the first half, and the crowd here are loving it.
That was such a well-timed cut from Ishirisa as well. She started that cut so early in the point, came hard under, and then went back out for the score. And Japan only coming back on serve, but the momentum feels like it's all in their court right now. They are so pumped up, and as they should be, off an incredible play from Ishirisa.
And you can see the frustration building. Players like Joe White there. Just how do I stop this? How do I get my arms out wide? I'm a massive defender, and somehow they seem to find ways through the wall. These inside breaks, shots that they're just not used to seeing in the USA. But the Japanese have played their way back into this game. It's so tight here at the end of the first half. Wow, we're going to have to catch our breath of seeing some of the highlights from those moments. It was that deep shot downfield again. And you've got to give a massive amount of credit to Otake Shoga, having been denied the block against Joe White on the first occasion, goes and takes a big disc out. And on the side of the field with Georgina Morrison, we have one of the Japanese players for a few words at the half.
Okay, so that first half was really exciting. You were on the back heels of the USA the entire time. In your opinion, how has it gone so far?
Well, the American teams are very tall and very fast. They have great skills of throwing. So we use some zone defense and some kind of, we call it crush. It's kind of a defense where you push it, where you don't like get stalling that too close, and that made them stop. So that maybe stopped them.
Fantastic. Okay, it's been really close the whole way. It's 8-7 now. What adjustments are you going to make in the second half, especially considering the fact that it's windy again, just to take it away from the USA?
We have very good throwers that can throw very into little tiny places. So maybe we're going to use small passes, not big ones. and try to use our feet and not stop and do great defense.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much and good luck for the second half. Thank you.
Georgina Morrison with Ozaki Uta, who's been doing some translating for the Japanese team as well. And you heard what Ozaki was saying there, Becky, wanting to use the quick, short Japanese style of play. It really works well in these windy conditions, whereas the deep game of the USA has struggled because of that bobbling disc as the wind swirls over the stands here in Heidelberg. We'll be back after a short break. Here it's half time. The Japanese 1-up against the USA.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Every time we touch the license, we play better. Let's go, take down the trail.
An Ulti-World subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
See some incredible footage from our drone here in the World Ultimate Under-24 Ultimate Championships here in Heidelberg, capturing some of the aerial action from both these teams in the final underway here. USA and Japan tied up in one of the tightest and closest first halves we've seen. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Becky Thompson for this real treat of international ultimate. The wind causing a bit of chaos, and both these teams fighting so hard.
It's been a pleasure to watch this game so far. Like you said, the teams putting everything on the line. We've seen so many turnovers, execution on deep shots lacking a little bit, but on that last 2 points of the game, the Japanese really fighting for the disc, working to get it back, and it's paid off here. They look like they have the momentum on their side.
Interestingly, the USA team out throwing long discs to each other in the wind during this halftime break. Most of the time in the previous finals, we've seen the teams resting at half, but here, the practicing part of the game, which hasn't necessarily worked for them particularly well in the first half.
I think that's a good call from the American side as well. Just get their confidence in the wind here. Sometimes you can get a little bit of a swirl effect with the stadium as well, and I think that's caused them to misjudge some of the spin they need to put on the disc. They're readjusting, and this is going to be an unbelievable second half, Tom. This is the best half of Ultimate we've seen so far today. An absolute pleasure to watch.
Really has been very, very exciting stuff. And the one thing we always talk about with these World Championships is when the crowd filling the stands are watching these games, they always cheer for the team which isn't the USA. The USA know that this happens. They prepare for it. They will talk to the teams, the coaches will talk to the teams about the fact that, you know, when you score there'll be a celebration. When Japan score, there'll be an eruption of joy. And that's what's happened here. Every one of the neutrals is cheering the Japanese successes twice as much as they're cheering the USA successes. But we've been treated to a really exciting game here. The wind has created a little bit of problems for both teams. The Japanese athleticism and horizontal layouts from both sides have been really impressive. And we saw what McKenna and Sue just doing a cartwheel towards the sideline in unison.
Yeah, these teams are both really enjoying this moment as well, Tom. We've seen the Japanese players dancing and singing on the sideline, acrobatics there from this USA team. And I think it's really good to see them staying loose as well, keeping themselves relaxed as this game gets closer to the end and it stays tight. If it stays tight, you can often see teams start to stress out a little bit, maybe panic. So great to see them keeping themselves loose here at halftime.
The mixed division here at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships has been the highlight division. Big performances in the pool play from the Netherlands and Latvia. Great Britain and France both finished below the USA, Netherlands and Latvia out of that pool. They dropped into the bottom bracket and have finished 13th and 14th in the tournament. So when the Great Britain and France are the two teams at the bottom two of your pool, you know that there's been some upsets. The seeding not seeing the Latvians with such strength. Wilson now for the USA as the second half gets underway. Again trying to work their way around the Japanese zone. Rutledge passing back to Gucho Hannes.
It's a very flat zone from this Japanese team as well. They're trying to push it to the sideline. This is exactly the position they want to be in with the trap here for the American team.
Yeah, forcing that downwind shot, such a risk of an overthrow. Poklemba now. Gucho Hannes available on the reset. They've gone all the way back to their own end zone. There was another play in there. This is, I think the action replay was that Poklemba was calling a double team. And the Japanese player insisting that no, Rutledge was close enough for us to be there, both of us. It's kind of academic because the disc hasn't been affected, but Japanese just want to make sure that everyone understands that they're playing this fair and square.
I think it's not a bad clarification to have as they're trying to keep that zone on this point. They don't want the same call to occur over and over again.
Azaki gave us that halftime interview, is leading the mark here. Poklemba, Gucho Hannes not got an option to throw out here, and a high release goes up. Joe White overthrown, and it's a turnover to Japan. Their trapping zone on the sideline, creating all sorts of problems. The USA forced backwards and backwards until eventually the bailout is not collected. There's going to be some defense on this, so surely. Oh no! The Japanese come up with it. Sato Hikari laying out for her second goal of the game. Incredible work. They've broken the USA either side of half, and they lead this game by 2, 9-7, Becky.
And the way the Japanese were putting that zone defense on the Americans, you could just see that turnover building. The pressure was mounting. They were running out of options, and instead of being able to find a reset, they had to try to put one up to their tall receiver in Joe White. But Japan, so happy for them to put that throw up, allow the wind to take it into the ground, and then going the other way, laying out for the score. Sato Hikari gets the goal, and Japan by 2 points in the final. You can hear the crowd starting to amp up here, Tom. It is all on right now.
Well, after the dominant performance in the first two finals, the cheers for Nippon were a little bit reserved in the first half, but now the crowd think they might be looking at an upset. 2 points the lead.
It's worth mentioning that the U.S. team has been down by 2 points at least once in this tournament to the Canadian side, and I think it's interesting because in previous tournaments we haven't seen the U.S. really be tested in the early stages of the tournament. They've had a test, they know how to come back after 2 points down, but we'll see if they can do it here.
Powell to Worth. Worth back to Powell, and McKenna's available on this near side, just running it through three female handlers. McKenna running out of options and a high disc, but Ann Worth grabs high. Some conversations in the end zone, but Worth steadying the ship for the USA.
And I think the conversations just between the Japanese teammates, a miscommunication on defense. The defender there at the near corner of the end zone got split by two cutters, Paklemba in the space, and of course Ann Worth bringing down the goal.
An all-woman point for the USA. Worth has been putting in a lot of work for the USA. That's 2 points in this game. Sorry, that's her first point in this game. She has 10 goals for the tournament so far.
She's just been an outstanding player to watch as well. The speed that Ann Worth brings to this team, so dynamic through the cutting spaces, and when she comes back into the throwing space as well, we've seen her be a very confident handler. It's one of the hallmarks of this USA team. Most of their players are extremely versatile. They can do it on both sides of the disc, none of them focusing too much on one thing, meaning that when they get the disc under, they're confident with the disc in their hands.
And again, the shout of Nippon, clap, 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 continues around us. The noise builds, the tension builds, and the disc lands out of bounds. Can be brought to the brick mark by the Japanese number 1, Ohashi Nambomasa. Checked in by Benelo. Ohashi sends a big disc to Sato, who brought down that previous point. She sets off across the field, marked by Alyssa Su. And a turnover. That was an errant shot down the line.
Just behind the outstretched hands of the receiver, he had to turn to try to make it the grab, and it just slipped right through the hands.
USA with a chance to level it back up again. Brittany Kokinos diving double-handed. Stanley Birdsong cutting free. Bit more movement available from the USA. When they're not in the zone structure, the defense from Japan looks a lot weaker. Flowing to the far side, Alyssa Su. Down the line, grabbed in front of the Japanese player's face. Zoe Hecht, and a pick called. First time we've mentioned Hecht's name on the broadcast so far. Brother Mac, part of that USA men's team, just took the gold.
Hecht coming off a hamstring injury into this week as well here. She didn't play on the first day of play, slowly increased her play throughout the week, and now we're seeing her in the final.
Swings the disc across, and then a lightning fast cut from her as well. High grab from Alyssa Su. Just pops it forward to Ing. Ing with the fake. Back to Su. Su forward to Benelo. Benelo back to Su. USA want to make absolutely certain of this. Floated to the far side. It bobbles off the top. And Michael Ing, despite the defensive pressure from Japan, reads the disc, catches, and it's level. We're back level at 9 apiece.
USA getting a little bit of luck on the second effort of their own. We saw several plays like that for the Japanese in the first half. You just see the error there, that disc behind the outstretched hands of Japan, and every disc is so valuable right now, Tom. We're tied at 9 apiece in a championship gold medal game at the Under-24 Championships. Everything is on the line.
And Ing's been so involved in all the play and possession for the USA. I'm sure he would have liked to take that first time rather than second, but the score sheet will still show his point. I wonder if it shows him as an assist as well.
I think I would count that as an assist at this point, Tom. Just bouncing it to yourself.
Yeah. So we see the stats from our first half. 8-7, those 15 turnovers each, 15 blocks each. And the breaks, 3 from 8 for Japan, 3 from 6 for the USA, but a very, very equal first half. The momentum swinging backwards and forwards between the two teams. Oh, the game is on a knife edge here. And this final gold medal match between Japan and the USA in the mixed division. Cutting is Kondo, gets the disc. Big disc downfield, running onto it. The wind has caught it, but he reads it brilliantly. Otake, and the disc has been bent out of shape as Otake landed. He's asking for a disc check. A new disc thrown onto the field. It's not a long conversation.
Now you could see the way he just fell over the disc. It just sandwiched between him and the ground there.
Has allowed the USA defense to get up there looking for a way forward. He just didn't quite get into the end zone there, Otake. But the second pass does, and that's a point for Japan. They really needed to get that one in after the USA broke them in the previous point.
And a lot of confidence on display from this Japanese team as well right now, Tom. They don't like to look for those deep shots unless they're 100% there. Earlier in the point, Otake made the same cut to the end zone. It was looked off, only to come back under, and on the second one, they decided, yes, this is the throw to make, and a great athletic grab here on the play as well.
And you saw from our end zone camera quite how difficult that disc was to read as it rose in the wind. But Otake brings it in. 2 assists for the game so far.
And at this point, Tom, the Japanese team have the advantage with their offensive points. They could trade this game out, keep it in control. USA have to get another break.
They could trade this game out, but they've got a USA mixed team out here to face who have been looking confident. They've been looking in form, and they're not going to crumble like some other teams might if they start having an iffy game. This is a team that's played at the very highest level, at college and at club level all across the USA. Individuals brought together for the Under-24 World Championships. The Japanese zone, you see that hop forward tactic of the two handlers there, just trying to gain yards. The Japanese very, very rarely call a travel. Poklemba taking a few liberties with her steps, but again it's not called by the Japanese. Rippey back to Wilson. Wilson knives it over the top. It's caught in the wind. It blows away from Joe White. It normally would have been a perfectly good throw. In this breeze, on these conditions, you cannot do a disc with that much underside showing to the breeze.
You do have to wonder why that's the decision coming out here. The USA were so comfortable breaking it through the cup with those resets, just rushing the decision near the end there.
Japanese back with it. I love that low release sidearm, and then into the end zone. Oh, just dying in the wind, like it had got on the escalator and disappeared into the turf. Sato Hikari, she'd got space.
It was a great cut towards the end zone. Had positioning on her defender as well, had the speed, but the wind has not been forgiving here in this game, Tom.
This time Joe White and Ann Worth combined nicely up that far wing. Good flow from them. They've gained a lot of yards quickly. Now across to Rutledge. Rutledge looks back. Gives the disc to Gucha Hannes. Back to Rutledge again. Poklemba. The zone reforms. The options disappear, but Joe White is available. Quick release of the disc from Gucha Hannes. Joe White's got an overhead available, but he knows that that's a risky shot. He's going to have to take the reset back to Rutledge. High hands from the Japanese defense. Again, the disc is going to go back here to Joe White. White has got Worth. He's got Rutledge available. Gucha Hannes comes and takes the disc. Jamming it through to White. Goes to the knees to protect the disc. Right in the red zone here. Rutledge and White exchange. trying to find a way through. Short passes are the preference. Long passes are going to get blown around, and the Japanese defense is so active, ready to pounce. Rutledge, still they stay in their zone formation, not going to the one-on-one. To Poklemba, front of the end zone. Joe White comes out from the backspace and takes it at the front. USA patience pays off, and they score to level it up here at 10 apiece.
And the USA had several opportunities to throw an overhead shot into the end zone there, Tom. You could see some of their teammates spreading the width of the field, calling for that pass, but tremendous patience and composure here to take those small options instead. Those bigger shots haven't worked for them with the conditions here today, and able to eventually just walk it into the end zone. Japan so focused in that zone, but a little bit more clinical from the USA here.
And it's great patience from Joe White. You saw him stuck on this near side. He's got 3 free American players in the end zone, and he just goes, nope, 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 I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to throw it, because I've just seen what happens when we do that. We're going to keep this disc. We're going to work it around. We're going to play our game properly, and the patience paid off from the USA. But you could almost see the cogs turning in the head there as he surveyed the field and looked off those options. Really smart play.
So Japan is back out on offense here, and Tom, I think we're going to see the confidence continue from this Japanese team as well. Momentum has been on their side since that break right out of halftime as well, and the USA needing to maybe make some adjustments on defense here.
Well, the disc bounces off the turf. That first pass, disc rising, almost got the fingertips to the wrong side of the disc, and again another disc rises. This time the one-handed grab from Ohashi is not enough. USA with a chance to break back.
It's really an uncharacteristic error here from the Japanese team. We so often see them make such extra sure that they've got the grab into their hands.
Good to see Thompson back on the field after she was rushed off earlier, and this time a foot gets in the way. The disc goes to ground. Japan have it back. Shapes to throw the deep shot, leaves it in the holster for now. Ohashi, low disc, requires a big grab from Maguchi. Again, Shapes to throw the round shot, it's rising high. Positioning of Benelo doesn't allow a bid. One-handed grab. Returns the disc. That was a great take from Matsushima. Another big bid from the USA. Lots of contact made with Maguchi. Wasn't happy, but just has a little cuddle. A little cuddle there with Brett Grammon. Maguchi's 3 assists. Grammon with 1 assist and 1 point. Those 2 players making big contributions. Nice to see the spirit. They're expecting a hard game. In fact, they'd be disappointed if the USA didn't give them a hard game. Kondo now. She's had a great performance with the disc as well. Continues her cut, then comes back underneath with that Japanese style button cut. Contact made. Kondo finishes on the ground. No contest from Thompson.
Just a bit of contact there on the legs, just tangling up with each other on the movement.
Grammon taps back in. Maguchi surveys the field. Cutting out the space is Massey, but Ing was covering that, and then Massey comes back underneath, takes the disc away. Pops it forward. Ohashi. Oh, that's classy from the Japanese. They've worked it in. They played their game. Matsushima Yui with a second goal. Important point for Japan. And as Becky was saying, if they can keep trading this game out, they will win the gold medal.
Amazing to come out after that hold from the USA, who showed so much patience. They answer with some patience of their own. Once getting that disc back, they made no errors at the end zone here. Happy to work it through the resets. We saw them use that inside backhand shot that they love so much before finding the around into the end zone. And once again, the speed of the Japanese players on display here. They mentioned at halftime that one of the things they wanted to do was beat this team with their feet, really get to the disc first, use their footwork, and we're seeing that right now, Tom.
Yeah, Matsushima, the 3-year-old teacher from Kyoto, plays her ultimate with Uno, one of the best Japanese women's teams. They were over in Cincinnati last year. Where they won a lot of fans for their style of play. She is in our shot now. Crossing over from the D-line, from the O-line to the D-line.
It's a great observation as well. We're seeing both of these teams have to really tighten their lines now as this game is coming down slowly towards the wire.
That disc to White was so low, but picked up cleanly. Little pop through to Gucha-Hannes. Searles-Bowes to McKenna. Searles-Bowes has it back again. This is nice work from the Americans. Ashley Powell shoots to the end zone. There's going to be some pressure underneath this. Joe White has the best read. Oh, no, it wasn't Joe White. At the back it was Rocco Essex-Lenahan. But as we've seen before, if you show too much the underside to this crosswind, it will take it over your head.
And it's an error we've seen multiple times now from this American team as well. They were out at halftime practicing their deep shots, but the edge of that disc is still blading in the wind, and Essex-Linehan had to go up because the defender was in the space. But again, this disc over the head of the American players, it's not what they want to do right now.
And great shots from our down the field camera, able to see how that disc is arcing across the trees and then picks up over all of the players.
You can hear, I think, the players on the field encouraging the disc to stay in the hands of the receiver here. That outcome had not affected the play.
Japan with a chance to break the USA after that turnover. Low release disc picked off the turf by Otake. Oe's gone deep. She's been chased by Ann Worth. Oe comes back underneath now with the outstretched hands. The 13 shirt of Okubo signaling he was available, but now he's available on the other end. This time Essex-Linehan says no, and it's back in American hands. All sorts of cuts available for the Japanese, but they couldn't connect with any of them. Joe White to McKenna. Lindsay McKenna sends that big fake, pulls the Japanese defender out of the way. Down the line, Joe White runs, getting free pretty much at will. A high disc, again caught in the wind, again fumbled in the end zone. Contact made by the Japanese player, and he's uncontesting that. So it's going to stay at the front with Matthew Gucha-Hannes.
I think Gucha-Hannes there just got a little push in his back as he went to close his hands around that disc. I think it's the right outcome. We've seen so much respect between these two teams so far on the field as well, Tom.
It's a tough disc to catch, even tougher if you get a jolt. Yeah, you can see the back arched from Gucha-Hannes as he got that shove in the back. Two players bidding hard for the disc. A lot of mutual respect, but the rules being followed well. Oh, two players bidding into the same space. Matthew Gucha-Hannes needs to take a look behind him and check the player's okay before he gets up.
Not sure if Matt Gucha-Hannes had fully recognized that the Japanese player was on the ground. He must have felt that contact though, but he continued to move the play instead of stopping the play there.
Nabakuri finishing on the floor. See that replay. Yeah, by the time Gucha-Hannes has got the disc in his hands, he flips it into the end zone, and the USA hold despite a turnover. Very, very closely matched game here. They're back on even terms at 11 each. The time ticks on, 8 minutes of regulation time available. It's a game to 15, but if the time clock ticks out, we will add 1 to the top score at that point, and that will become the target score for the game.
Yeah, and the USA right now are really just needing to find something different against this Japanese offense. The O-line here for Japan has been consistent, especially in the second half. They have been executing their deep shots where the Americans have not been able to execute the same, and they've been getting turns off the American O-line going the other direction as well. It's got to be giving them some confidence knowing that they can get those opportunities, whereas right now we're seeing this American D-line struggle to get the same chances from the Japanese O-line.
And so important at this level in this gold medal showcase game that both teams are playing hard, they're playing physical, but they're playing fair as well. The Japanese uncontesting that contact on Gucha Hannes. And again, the cry of Nippon rings around the National Rugby Stadium here in Heidelberg. The flags on the far side of the field are out-taut with the breeze. And the disc lands and rolls right to the back corner, which means it can be brought to the front line. I think Ohashi are actually quite glad to see it roll out the back, because he wouldn't have wanted to take it in that back corner. That's proper Callahan territory, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be the exact thing that the USA needs right now to change their momentum and put this game back into their control as well.
Big force arrives from Alan Villanueva. Masse available on the reset and a takedown just shy of the end zone, and in they pop it. It wasn't a Callahan, but it may as well have been. Pulling it out of the sky, Luke Webb reacts fast to an errant disc from the Japanese, and he pops it in for the score. The USA changed the momentum of the game.
And you could see Webb there when he grabbed that disc. He had an initial disc shot into Freund. He took a second and hit it on the second one. I think taking a deep breath after earlier in the game, we saw them drop an easy dish pass into the end zone. Instead, lets Freund do a little 7-cut, spin around into the end zone, and they get themselves a break. We're back on serve in this game here, Tom. Everything is going as good as we could ever hope for a championship game. These two teams are putting everything on the line, and it's impossible to call how this one is going to play out right now.
Yeah, Luke Webb, that 21-year-old student from Carleton College out of Amherst, Massachusetts, played for Boston Wildcard last year in Cincinnati.
I think the Japanese here have taken their first timeout of the second half, Tom. They've just been broken in this half, and they want to keep their momentum going. They want to stay calm with the disc in their hands, and the crowd getting amped up here as well. I think this is a good timeout call. Refocus on the moment and remind themselves of what they're here to accomplish.
Both teams spreading the stats all the way through the line. The USA slightly more even with their distributions than the Japanese. And at 12-11 in the gold medal match, the World Flying Disc Federation Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Really couldn't be any closer. The USA up by 1. They won the toss. They chose to put Japan out on offense. You see the breeze picking up there. It is red hot, but the fans that aren't in a stand will be enjoying a nice breeze. We're very sheltered from that up here in our commentary position. But the players down there on the field, Becky, have really struggled to contain the throws in this breeze.
Yeah, it's taken an effect on this game, especially in the second half, and especially on the deep shots from both of these teams. Japan have had a difficult time going more towards the left end zone here on your screen. A lot of their shots have bladed into the turf, whereas the USA, more of an issue going the other direction, having those shots get carried, the edge going up and being carried over the heads of their receivers.
The pull from Alan Villanueva. Curves back into the wind, very high pull. Perhaps sheltered a little bit by the stands as it made its way down there, and it's going to be bricked by the Japanese, giving up a few yards with the opening pass. Reset from Kondo wasn't taken. They may wish they had done as the stall count rises, but they get it out to Akubo. Jamming it through a very tight margin. Rescued off the turf by Sato. Already has 2 points to her name. Deep shot going up. What a bid needed. It was too far away from Otake.
And again, that's a deep shot that just bladed too early into the turf, not sitting up into the hands. That being said, that had to be put on with so much speed as two American defenders were tracking it down in that space. Japan, I think, giving away a bit of an easier opportunity here to the USA.
Yeah, Helen Eifert was waiting down there. Anything that had hung up, she was going to get there very quickly. USA. Brittany Kokinos turfs it just in front of the end zone. Short field, and Oe Risa, she won't be thanking Okubo for that pass, but they do score it. They've leveled it up at 12 each.
And Japan taking advantage of a short field turnover from Kokinos there. Uncharacteristic mistake. We've seen most of the mistakes come from the deep shots from the USA here today, Tom. Not usually giving it away on their end zone line, and Japan have got to be happy about that one. They've got their D-line back out on the field, but now we're seeing the USA in control. They can trade this one out. We talk about O-lines holding in this game, but we have seen quite a few turnovers from the American O-line throughout the course of this one, usually turning the disc at least once in their last few opportunities.
See the look of exasperation on Brittany Kokinos' face as she walked off, but she was accompanied every step of the way by Zoe Hecht, who was trying to buoy her spirits. That team camaraderie has served the USA well throughout this tournament. Kokinos, 23 years old, out of Madison. Might be a moment that the USA live to regret. The Japanese pull drifts towards that sideline, but forces the take across the field. Searles Bowes launches this one. It's caught some air. Joe White the target. It's going to go back towards that sideline. It goes away from both players. Misread from Japan. Joe White saw where it was going to go. He adjusted his cut and he goes storming through the whole crowd to celebrate that point. A deep shot, well read.
Very smart play from Joe White. He was tracking that disc the whole way, could see it as it trailed away from the Japanese player and didn't get sucked in by the defense trying to go up too early. We've seen the USA not connecting on their deep shots occasionally when exactly that has happened. They've had to go up to respect the defensive play, but he just did a little shoulder check there, saw that it was trailing away from both players and ran it down, making it look way easier than it could have been there, Tom.
Yeah, when that disc set off, it looked like it was going to the left-hand end zone. But White has eyed it early and he's judged the wind to perfection. Really smart to keep his cut away from the defender as well. A contact foul at that point would have been a disaster. But the time cap running low. Such an important hold for the USA.
He said we've only got a few seconds left until the time cap here, Tom. So this game is going to come down to the wire. You see Joe White there. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists in this game. Was the stat leader for the USA coming into this one and will likely retain that title here.
And the crowd and the stands cheering this one as the disc lands right at the back of the end zone. It's being called out by Japan. Landing on the line, so close.
Benelo there jumping in a little bit of frustration. He knew how close that was, but on the line is out of bounds, and very important chance here for Japan to take advantage from the brick mark.
You can see Villanueva just asking the question to the closest man, Stephen Benelo, signals, was that far, fingertips. But it did touch the line and the Japanese able to take it to the brick mark. No cuts as yet. Now they start to come. Ohashi sends it back to Ohashi again. Keep returning the disc. Now it's with Massey. High grab required. The disc from Massey, not really what they wanted. Not using this upwind side of the field at all. Ohashi again. They have Murase available. She now starts to cut into the deep space as the USA transition to a one-on-one defense. And Oe Risa dropping the disc. So uncharacteristic. Seen a strong tournament from her. Stat leader for Japan. And what looked like a simple chest catch dropped at a key moment in the game. USA with a chance. sliding on the knees. USA moving the disc now. Thompson with it. The cap has gone on. We think the cap went on after this point had started. So this point will complete. Depending on who scores, it will add 1 to the maximum score, and that will be the target. We're just trying to confirm that from our sideline. That's our thinking, as a timeout is called by Anna Thompson.
That does mean if Japan can get this score, Tom, that it would be a universe point game. It would be a game to 14, and that would be everything we've hoped to see. Japan have been working so hard, and the USA now have tightened down on these last few points. They have brought the defensive intensity. They've made a few adjustments around the mark as well, slagging off a little bit on the handlers to stop some more of those inside shots, and it's caused some more pressure to be put on the throwers here for Japan, who you can see are having a little bit of fun with this timeout here, keeping themselves nice and relaxed.
The USA team in buoyant spirit. They looked like they were in a bit of a hole either side of the half. Japan breaking them. Really took hold of the game as they moved the scoreline from 7-6 in favor of the USA all the way up to 9-7. But USA with 2 breaks back later in this second half. No team able to string more than 2 breaks together. Thompson for the USA. Floaty disc is collected by Graman. Back to Thompson that has to reach up. The Thompson disc was high. She has it back now. The two of them just exchanging passes. Thompson again looks down the line. Graman's going to be stretched here. He has to bid, he has to reach, and he lands outside and doesn't collect anyway. It's a turnover back to Japan.
The rest of the USA stack there just allowing Thompson and Graman to work through that space to use the give and goes to their advantage. And once again, we're seeing the execution on the throws near the end zone, just not exactly how the Americans wanted it there.
Short passes through a very poachy look from the USA zone. And they'll come back this way through Kondo, using male and female handlers. Now down the line, Maguchi. Maguchi's got throws for days, a big toolkit as well, but he can't get past the outstretched hands of Brett Graman. Resets and has the disc back now. Alyssa Sue almost bid on that pass. They're moving it well, the Japanese, to Murase. Down the field to Oe. Managed to shake the nerves of that previous point drop. Masse cutting underneath and a pick called in the stack.
Japan need to keep their composure on this point, Tom. This is an incredibly important momentum shift, as well as the USA had a chance essentially on the doorstep to make it championship point, game point here at the World Under-24 Championships, and we can take it to a universe point situation, and it's exactly what you want from this game. These two teams have been going toe-to-toe throughout the entire match.
Maguchi looks down the line. Oh, and a fingertip touch. He's going to come back into the field. It doesn't come back into the field. Layout block from Steve Benelo to take that disc out of bounds. Incredible moments. The cap will go on after this point. Benelo with the disc again. Need to work the full length. Ing threatens that deep put. We know how risky that's going to be in this wind. Again, Graman. Again, the disc to Thompson. It's going to hang high. Contact made. No call from Michael Ing. Ohashi cuts for the reset. Back to Maguchi. Good marking from Alyssa Sue to take that pass option away. And this time Maguchi stretched. Graman doesn't need to bid. There's a big overlap in the end zone. It's going to be the long run of Joseph Frund, who rises high and takes it for the grab, takes it for the point, and the USA are in the driving seat now. They lead this one by 2, and the cap is on. It's a game to 15. One more point for the gold medal.
When it is all on the line, the USA turn on the Jets to another level here, Tom. They worked hard to put the pressure on those reset throws. In the end, it was an execution error from the Japanese, but the pressure defense from the USA really forcing them into some uncomfortable situations, having to make those layouts to get the grab. It bounces off the hand, and then they were so quick to go back the other way. The tall frame of Joseph Freund in the end zone. Game point in this gold medal match.
Yeah, Joe Freund rising high for his second goal of the game. He reacted first. The Japanese didn't seem to react at all. He just waited there. He had the height advantage over the diminutive Kondo Naue.
And did a great job to avoid all contact on that point as well, Tom. There were 2 Japanese defenders in the space. Joseph Freund, much bigger than both of them, and he just got his hand to the disc without touching either of the other players.
I think it was Brett Graman with the assist, sending the deep shot down at it's his second of the game. Only 5'8". Plays his ultimate with Dig last year, team out of Boston. He also coaches a summer camp in Austin, Texas. And last year he was coaching the University of Massachusetts women's ultimate team as well. So Graman, one to watch, having a great tournament out here in Heidelberg. So the USA come out having turned this game around. They've turned what looked like a losing situation back in their favor, capitalizing on Japanese errors. They've cleaned up their game. Still making mistakes in the wind, both these teams.
Yeah, we've continued to see those execution errors from both these teams. And if Japan can get themselves a good hold here, they will know that they've been able to turn the disc off of this American team, and they will put everything out on defense that they can.
First, they've got to work the disc up the field. A low grab. Shizuko's disc was low. Meguchi sends the big fake. Oh, had to be a layout rolling across the floor from Masai. Gets the disc through the tiniest of gaps to Okubo. Back around again, the disc bobbling in the air as Meguchi grabs it. Oh, and he has to go to it a second time. The bobbling wind creating havoc out here for these players. Needs to be a two-handed catch. They can throw these passes, but out of nowhere, a massive layout from Matthew Guchahannes. The USA with the disc. Birdsong looks downfield. Contact made by the defender Okubo on Birdsong. The play will stop. USA with a chance to take the game, to take the gold medals.
And putting out the biggest plays when it really counts here, Tom. Guchahannes, the layout D, possibly a gold medal layout D here.
Running short is Bladen. Looks for a reset back to Guchahannes again. Around it rises at a pick called. Villanueva has it. And I think the disc is going to go back onto the sideline.
Villanueva maybe saying it didn't affect the outcome of his catch.
Do you need translator?
Ozaki coming on to provide the translation services again. So Villanueva's perspective seemed to be that the pass, the pick call didn't affect the play.
その前に追い動作の中で彼女と接触しかけて俺は避けてるからそれはピックなんじゃないかな。
It was before the call he did it. He was supposed to hurt, so he couldn't call the call pick. It was way before that you caught him.
sorry.
So Maguchi explaining his point of view via translator Ozaki Yuta, and once Alan Villanueva had heard that point of view, he's happy to accept it and send it back onto the sideline. Key moments in this tight gold medal game in the mixed division. The World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Villanueva busting free, a travel called.
You could see Villanueva there within his few steps, but he changed direction as he made that last step to put the pass over to Gucho Hannes.
Coming in on one. A timeout called by Villanueva. Wow, the tension builds here in this second half matchup. USA 1 point away from the gold medal, having broken Japan on the previous point. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Becky Thompson, witnessing some outstanding ultimate in a really tricky situation with this wind. Both teams throwing themselves at it and putting a maximum amount of effort into this game.
They've done everything they can on every single point here in this game, Tom. It may end up being that the USA come away with this 15-12, but it doesn't feel like a three-point game at any point. We've seen runs from both teams, breaks from both teams, trading leads throughout this game. And right now, the USA, though, they have an opportunity there right at the brick mark. They've got perfect field position. I think this is an incredible timeout call. Try to set up a perfect play here, end on a high note.
The Japanese broke the USA either side of half to take it to 7-9, but after that, USA got it back to 9-all. Then they broke again at 12-11, and that last point break to take them within one of the gold. Japan with a mountain to climb here. Maguchi, Villanueva. Maguchi taps in. Villanueva resets. Gucho Hannes. Birdsong's coming underneath. The high disc to Gucho Hannes is grabbed. Incredible ups. Slipping on the field, Villanueva then darts down the line. Gucho Hannes tries to find it. Looks off Rippey. Down to Birdsong. Big presence on that sideline. Contact made. A little bit too much presence from Akubo. Birdsong protests. Calls the contact. Coming back in. Trying to find it in the near corner. And Matthew Gucho Hannes takes it for the USA. They've taken this by 3. And Gucho Hannes, having caught that disc in a full layout, taking it down the other end with the bookends with its final point. USA take the mixed championships at the World Flying Disc Federation, World Under-24 Championships. Incredible, Becky. What a game we've seen.
An amazing game from both teams here, Tom. USA really had to fight for every single disc and opportunity on this game. They were down multiple times. They had to climb their way back in, eventually breaking to get the lead, and the Japanese making them work for every single shot. Gucho Hannes, I think he had the best point of his whole game on the last point, getting that layout D earlier on, and then going every other pass into the end zone. There's no denying that they deserve this victory. They worked incredibly hard for it, and we have seen an incredible display of ultimate here today.
And the 23-year-old from Durham, North Carolina, closes out this championship with a layout block and a goal for the USA. The mixed team rising high in the end, defeating the Japanese as their women's team did earlier. Strong performance from the Japanese. There's the block from Gucho Hannes.
You can see that Gucho Hannes had poached under, ready to take away that upline option.
Yeah, just baiting the throw, reading the play better than anybody, diving out with the athleticism required to take that disc. The Japanese, I think they can hold their heads up high with a very, very hard-fought game. Particularly impressed with Maguchi with his 3 assists, and Oe Risa with her 3 points. Good work, playing like a proper mixed side, and I think that's a really nice thing to say about this mixed final. It's a proper mixed final. Both teams using both genders very, very well.
It looked very seamless indeed through all the players on the pitch here today, Tom. We saw especially the likes of Oirisa have an outstanding game here for the Japanese. Unfortunate not to come away with a better outcome. This team lost last year in 2018 as well. Some of those returning players will really feel it right now, but they put out an incredible display, like you said, and they have so much to be proud of here.
Well, it's been a wonderful week here in Heidelberg, Germany. The picturesque scenes, the energy and enthusiasm of all of these players here in the under-24 division has been on show. The passion and spirit, game advisors used in many of these games, but even the game advisors have been saying it's been an easy tournament for them because the spirit has been fantastic from both these teams. We're lucky enough to have Mike McKenzie, coach of the USA team, down on the sideline with Gigi Morrison. We have that interview for you in just a moment.
What a game, ladies and gentlemen. That was a fantastic show of mixed ultimate. I have here one of the head coaches for the USA mixed team that have just won the gold medal. It was such a close game the whole way. The score was 11-11 and you managed to bring a break back and gain momentum to actually win you this game. How did you approach the second half after losing the first?
I think we developed a game plan that we stuck with throughout, and we trusted that if we continued to apply that pressure, we would get the disc enough times to get the breaks that we needed.
That's fantastic. What's your plan now for this evening? You've got the win. Are you going to celebrate?
I will probably be very calm, and I'm sure the players will have a celebration that they have a good time with. But yeah, I think this has been an emotionally exciting but exhausting week, so I'm ready to take it easy a little bit.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, can I just grab your name?
Sure, Michael McKenzie.
Okay, thank you so much and congratulations. Thank you.
Gigi Morrison down there on the field side, part of our commentary crew all week, interviewing Mike McKenzie, USA coach. And you see the team down there on the sideline. It's been a wonderful week. Becky, final few words from you.
Just been an incredible display of mixed ultimate in this game, Tom. My two favorite teams to watch in this entire tournament. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Don't forget, this stream is a copyright to the World Flying Disc Federation. From myself, Tom Stiles, from Becky Thompson, executive producer Tim Rockwood, our director Aidan Shapiro-Layton, producer Charlie Eisenhood, and the entire World Flying Disc Federation crew. I've been Tom Stiles, and this has been the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. USA winning all 3 gold medals. They'll go home with the stars and stripes flying high.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better.
An UltiWorld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.